Welcome. In front of me I have the, super brand new Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and today I will go over unboxing along with a quick view at the spec sheets of the phone. So there we go, that's the box that it comes in. Obviously, judging by the size of it, you can probably gather that it does not come with a charger. And from what I've heard or seen recently, I don't even recommend getting the Samsung charger, though I haven't tested it myself, but from what I've seen, apparently the phones now support 45 watt charging, yet charge at the same rate as when you use a I think they use like 22 watt chargers, or 24, whatever it was. So basically it's absolutely useless. You pay extra for a better charger that doesn't really charge your phone any faster, completely defeating the purpose of it. Anyway, as you can see, there is our slab of glass right here that we can massage for the next 2 years probably, or a year at least. Below that we have some paperwork and anything actually like interesting. Cable, not really interesting. Oh, come on. Oh, it's stuck. I just designed this weird way. Anyway, obviously you can see that there is just paperwork inside, so I'm not even gonna bother with this. So there is our phone, and as you can see, we have a nice camera array at the back. I do have to say I really like the design of the S21s with these kind of like integration of the bump along with the actual like bezels of the device or frame. It looked really nice. Though obviously this is more up to preference. Anyway, so right now it's turning on, and what you will be looking at right here is a 6.8 inch display. Holy hell, that is a big display. At 1440p, so exactly 1440 by 3088. And this is obviously, maybe not obviously, but this is a dynamic AMOLED display, which runs at 120 Hz, has HDR10 plus certifications, and peaks out at 1700 nits, so it can get really bright. And another little nice touch right here, as you probably figured out, this is more like a Note rather than the S lineup. And the reason why I say this is because we actually have a pen in here. Now normally you could before get the pen additionally and have it like stored somewhere in the case of the phone or whatever. It was kind of wonky, but it looks like they decided to forego the Note lineup. At least that's how it looks like, because this honestly just screams Note S20. I think it was S20, the last one. It has the same kind of look to it with the sharp edges, same design language. Again, you have a pen. So this, for all intents and purposes, is a Note at this point. So anyway, let's just quickly go through the setup right here. So I was going over the display, so let's finish that up. Obviously it's Samsung, so I can't skip Wi-Fi connection, because why would I be able to do so? Okay, there we go. So, like I mentioned, the display, apart from the size and refresh rate and so on, we are looking at 90.2% screen to body ratio. The screen does take a huge chunk of the front. You have minimal bezels, which, if you can see, it just looks really clean. Like I mentioned before, it really looks like a Note from the last one that was released. Almost the same exact kind of shape and design on it. And additionally, the screen to body ratio looks roughly around the same kind of the same as it did on the Note. Now, last thing, what was it? Pixels per inch. We're looking at a huge actual density right here of 500. So this is one of the more dense displays in terms of pixels per inch. So that's kind of nice. Though I will be completely honest, I do like this, but at this size, having a 1440p display doesn't really give any advantages. It's gonna look sharper, and nicer, but maybe if you're looking through a microscope. I'm pretty sure, at least in my use case scenario, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between 1440p and 1080p on this kind of size. But that's just me. Some people might see the difference here and the sharpness of the text. I don't really, so that's why I'm kind of going about. It's nice, but for me it's useless, basically. Anyway, moving on to the actual cameras. While this is still setting up, and this is gonna take a while, judging from what the Tab S8s did. This is gonna be nicely like a couple minutes of absolutely getting your phone ready. Amazing. Every phone can do it way quicker than this and costs half the price, but Samsung is special. Anyway, at the back we have, as you can see, what is a quad camera setup. So obviously the main sensor is a 108 megapixels. This is a wide sensor, f1.8. Then we have 10 megapixels periscope, so that's this little like weird looking embedded camera that kind of looks like it goes deeper than the actual display is. And below that, below or in the middle, I guess, we have another 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide. So we do have a nice camera set up at the back with really decent cameras right here. And if we flip it over to the front, we're looking at a hefty 40 megapixels wide at this tiny little sensor right here. Now obviously when taking selfies this will be amazing. When it comes down to comparing it to back and front, the back will obviously be better than the front, even though this is probably for the most part better than some phones have cameras on the back. So anyway, with the cameras at the back you can shoot videos at a hefty 8K 24 frames, but if you don't mind dropping it from 8K to 4K, you can now record at 30 and 60, and 1080p obviously 3060 plus a slow motion of 240, and 720p has a slow motion of 960. Now from what I remember there was some kind of improvements to this, so I think 720p now has a continuous recording at 960 frames, so you can get these really slow motions, continuous recordings at a higher resolution than you were before. And obviously in terms of video recording, HDR10 plus and gyroscopes and all that stuff, as you would expect from a flagship of this kind of grade. So that being said, we can now move on to the actual specs, and that's kind of where I have a problem right here, because this is running Exynos. Though if I remember correctly, this Exynos might actually be good. Haven't tested it yet, but speaking from last several generations of Exynoses, the Exynos were always worse than the Snapdragons. From what I remember, there was some kind of rumors that it's supposed to pair up with AMD to give like additional graphics a boost to it, but I don't know if this is the Exynos or if that even ever happened. So that's something that will be tested most likely into benchmarks later on. But right now we're just gonna stick with the fact that this is just an Exynos, and that's all I'm gonna say on this kind of fact. And in terms of storage and RAM, now we have several different options. This is most likely the base model. So we're looking at, oh no, this is actually not the base model. Damn, this is actually a spec'd out one. Is it like the highest one? No, second highest version. So this is 512 gigs with 12 gigs of RAM. That is an insane amount of RAM for such a phone. But yeah, going through all the options that you can get, we have base model, 128 gigs of storage with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now all of these do have UFS 3.1, so you're gonna get these super brisky read and write speeds on this phone, along with transfers and so on. Now moving on, up with the storage we can get 256 obviously, and with that you get a bump in RAM from 8 to 12 gigs. And then obviously you have the 512, which is this one with again 12 gigs of RAM, and holy crap, you can actually get a 1 terabyte version of this with 12 gigs of RAM. So it caps out at 12 gigs and caps out in storage at 1 terabyte. That is insane amount of storage, to be honest. Now the reason for this storage, what I would assume, is because this is technically a substitute to a Note, And additionally, because this is a Samsung, they have a really good integration to Samsung DeX. Now, if you're not aware of what Samsung DeX is, it's basically a pseudo computer desktop. Now, I did want to quickly look at this. We don't have any expandable storage, so whatever you buy is what you get. So going with the Samsung DeX, using something like, let me just quickly grab that. There we go, this little thingy thing. So as you can see, one end is a Type-C, and then I have ports for USBs, SD cards, and so on. And then I also have a port for HDMI. So with this, I can plug it into any kind of monitor that uses HDMI. Additionally, you can also find monitors, though they cost more, that have USB-C plug, and then you get just a typical Samsung charging cable like this one, and you can plug it into the monitor and to your phone, and you basically have now full-fledged desktop. So with that, you can plug it in, I can connect mouse to it, and you have resizable windows, and it genuinely looks like a computer with applications on what I would consider to be a desktop, and it works fairly well. Samsung and Huawei are one of the two that I know from top of my head that did this really well and actually implemented it. Overall, Android has it by default, but Samsung and Huawei are the only ones that took the default and improved it, because it's hidden in the settings and it's not on typical Androids, and it's not working too great. Samsung, Huawei have it just flashed out, and it works perfectly. And last things last, which is the battery right here. So we're looking at a hefty 5000 milliamp hour battery. Obviously, it supposedly charges at 45 watts. Though from tests that I've seen, that is debatable. It might be just a load of bull, considering it doesn't charge any quicker than when you use a 25 watt charger from Samsung themselves, and even charging it with faster doesn't really change the charging speed. Now this is test that I've seen from someone else, and obviously I wasn't there, so I would most likely need to do them myself to make them to validate that this is like absolutely correct information. But if it is, then there is some kind of weird scam going on here. So just keep that in mind. And if that is the case, I would recommend looking into that yourself. And if this is the actual case, what happens with the charging speeds, do forego the purchase of dedicated charger from Samsung, because it just seems like they're trying to scam people at this point. But like I said, this just might be some kind of bug in a software. Maybe the info is just wrong. The tests were, I don't know, done purposefully wrong or something like this. So, like I said, it's something that needs to be looked into a little bit further to actually have the definitive answer here. And another thing, device supports wireless charging. So we're looking at 15 watts wireless charging and 4.5 watts of reverse charging. Now I do have a charger, I believe, like somewhere right here, so I'm gonna try to see if I can find it, just so you can see that it charges. You just kind of grab for it at the back. Oh, there we go. Now let me zoom out a little bit. So you can see right now it is charging. If I lift it up, put it back down, you can see that it is charging right now. Sorry for the actual like spotlight that you're seeing, but there we go. Let's try that again so you can actually see without blaring like light on it. Hello, come on. There we go. So obviously you can see that it is charging. So I mean, kind of showing this like you didn't already expect from a flagship to have a wireless charging. So anyway, let's finish this off. There's not much more to say about it apart from the price, which comes at $1,200 US. Holy hell, that is stupidly expensive. A little bit too much. Personally, I do like the Note look of this. I kind of want to call this Note because it genuinely looks like a Note S20. Or I even mixed it up myself here. It looks like a Note 20, not Note S20. There's no such a thing. But yeah, this is basically what I would call a successor to the Note series. So here's the display. I just kind of like going briefly over all the features right here. Here's the display. Really, you don't have these rounded corners as you do on like the other S's and majority of the other devices. So you do have fairly sharp corners right here. Looks really industrial. You have a S Pen, super high resolution display with a high refresh rate. Really sick camera setup right here. Probably one of the better at the moment. And obviously it's running on Samsung Skin. It's gonna be like what, Android 12? That's interesting. And actually when you whip it out, it gives you a little note. So hello, can I write on it? There we go. So I kind of lost my train of thoughts with that little animation right there. So yeah, the phone is decent. Oh, I know what I wanted to look. I wanted to check one little thing, because we do pay $1,200 for this phone. I'm really curious about one little thing, which I have a problem here. Hopefully it's not here. Samsung supposedly said that they're gonna remove this, and what I'm talking about is ads in your Galaxy store. So let's find this. Where is it? Smart things, no. Oh, there we go, Galaxy Store. Continue. Nope, never mind. We still get ads. I hope you really like ads on your brand new device that costed you $1,200, because Samsung says, nah, F you, you're still getting them. That hurts. So yeah, minus for that atrocity of ads on a most expensive flagship. Oh, maybe not more expensive, the folds will be more expensive, but just a typical device, flat one that doesn't fold. This is probably one of the most expensive ones that I can get. So yeah, for the price, you're getting majority of the things that you'd expect. It's still a little bit overpriced, and the inclusion of ads in stock Samsung apps is just an absolute effing joke. This is something that shouldn't have any place on a device at this price. I don't mind having an ad on a Xiaomi that I pay a quarter of the price for, compared to this that roughly has similar performance, but on something like this, where you get to fork out a lot of money for this and still have ads, is just an insult to the money that you spent. So yeah, at the end of the day, people that like Samsung, obviously they're gonna get it. People that probably hate Samsung are gonna stay away from it. And there's not much I can say to change probably people's mind here. It's a nice device. That's basically as much as I can say if we overlook the glaring problems from just a Samsung as a company. But yeah, anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.